Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Mystery Writer speaking, and welcome back to the show. Yes, I know it's been a long time since I've actually managed to upload a video. Um, I can explain that actually. You see, I recently just started going back to work since my job opened back up, or at least the company that I worked for opened back up, and I've just been really tired, working very long hours and very labor intrusive, and just it's been very rough. But I'm back, at least to make this video, and yeah, let's just you know what? Let's just get on with it. Let's just get on with it. Trust me, trust me when I say the sooner that we get this episode over with, the better. Now then, I have to admit something. I am a huge fan of Scooby Doo. The classic 1960s Hanna-Barbera cartoon is a classic. I watched a ton of it when I was a kid. I practically grew up watching Scooby Doo, especially from like 8 years old and higher. And the show has always been a classic. Especially since some of the movies that came out in the late 90s and well into the 2000s, the animated films that were directed home video, a lot of them were actually really good, really enjoyable, and made up a small part of my childhood. Now, I have to say, um, the live action movies that came out during the 2000s, they have a reputation of being kind of bad. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy these movies, but they're heavily flawed. From not really getting the characters right to cheesy CGI effects that were outdated as soon as the movies came out, and cheesy stories, cheesy one-liners. Yeah. You get the idea. Basically, cheese all around. But the movies, I wouldn't call them bad, but they were definitely, average. And they're enjoyable. They're worth a watch. But again, too many fart jokes, too much adult humor, and just overall not well made. Let's just put it that way. And so, when the news came that an animated Scooby Doo movie will be coming out in 2020, a lot of people were excited. As for myself, I actually got concerned once the first trailer dropped. Yeah. While a majority of people were definitely excited for the movie, some even calling Scoob, as it was called, one of the most anticipated films, or animated films, excuse me, of 2020, I kind of looked at the trailer and I'm like, huh, something feels off about this. Very off. So I wasn't really planning on going to see it when it came to theaters, which never happened, by the way, mostly because of the COVID 19 outbreak. Yes, the pandemic is still going strong. In fact, going stronger than ever, despite what Trump's been saying. Now Trump is saying, wearing masks are patriotic. Yeah, good luck with that after half a year of, completely ignoring the coronavirus. Thank you, Trump. Anyways, enough about politics. We're here to talk about Scoob 2020. Now then, this film is surprisingly divisive among fans and critics alike. With a Rotten Tomatoes score of 49 and a Metacritic score of 43, as well as an Internet Movie Database score of 5.7 out of 10, the film mostly received mixed reviews once it dropped on home streaming. And I can see why once I actually got around to see the movie now that it's been out on home video. Oh, and I'm starting to see why some of my watchers actually suggested I don't see this movie. Because it sucks. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't suck on the level of Cats or Charlie's Angels or Left Behind with Nicolas Cage or anything like that. No, 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 no. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just not Scooby Doo. It's not Scooby Doo done right. But before I get to the negatives, let's get to some of the positives. The movie is actually well made. The animation is great, the character models are really good, the voice acting is really good, the action is really good, and while the story is fairly standard for a family animated film, it did its job and entertained for the most part. While it definitely had its annoying moments, especially towards the end, and where they pulled a Wrath of Khan and then switcheroo with Shaggy and Scooby, yeah, the film was fun and enjoyable. And now, on to the negatives. Sit tight, there's a lot of them. Okay, first off, I have to point this out. Especially in the first few minutes of the movie, background characters are really, really poorly rendered. Oh my gosh. I mean, they're really distracting when it comes to, you know, the focus of the movie. They're especially in the opening scene where we see Shaggy walking through a beach boardwalk alone while Scooby is stealing a gyro from a Greek restaurant. And you see all these random background characters and they don't even look like they belong in the same universe. I mean, you got this really crisp, clean, perfectly rendered Shaggy and Scooby, and even the bicycle cop. But then you got these random extras with no textures. They're just smooth all over, moving around stiffly. It's just like no attention was really brought to the background characters. And even during a later scene when Dick Dastardly, yes, he's in this movie for some reason, I guess. Although it is kind of weird that the majority of the trailers actually just show the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie. Again, super weird. But anyways, even during the attack on Athens scene, no pun intended, the the background characters, even when they are the focus, they're just poorly rendered for no reason. No attention was brought to them whatsoever. They're just like, okay, they're background characters. Who cares? Whoa, let's get back to Scooby Doo. Yay! Oh boy. Yeah. And then there's also, this is actually really weird for me with this next item that I'm going to be discussing because I don't think I've ever seen this in an animated movie, or at least a CGI animated movie. There's just these random dips in quality of the CGI and rendering out of nowhere. Fortunately, they're momentary. They only last like 5 or so seconds, but they're really noticeable and happen frequently to the point where it just becomes annoying. Oh yeah, speaking of poorly rendered, have you seen this giant glowing Cerberus? That does not look as though it belongs in a movie. That looks like it belongs in the video game tie-in, not the movie itself. Oh my gosh. Why? Why? Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I just think there were definitely some aspects of the movie that those who made it really should have paid more attention to. But I think more attention was brought on. Okay, let's just do a Hanna-Barbera universe thing because Marvel and DC are doing it. So let's just try to get that cinematic universe going. Okay, okay, great. It just doesn't work. Yeah, so I guess you could say there's just a lack of focus. And let's see. Oh yeah, well here's my biggest complaint apart from the fact that the ending was incredibly predictable because again, Wrath of Khan, but switcheroo, we're not actually going to go through with it. Yada 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 yada. Okay, now the biggest complaint I had, and this actually goes with my complaints, my biggest complaints of the live action Scooby Doo movies, and that's Fred and Velma. How? How do you keep messing up Fred and Velma? They have had decades of character development and growth. How do you keep screwing these two up? It doesn't make sense. How do you not only screw up their overall looks, but their personalities? How do you keep screwing this up? It doesn't make any sense. Let's start with Fred. Because he's the one that actually, in this movie, anyways, they got the most wrong. Okay, let's start with Fred from the original cartoon. Fred is the leader of the group. Fred spearheads the group, focuses it on the task at hand. He is a natural born leader. And from a purely intellectual standpoint, he's on equal footing to Velma, who is the smartest character. While, yes, Fred definitely has his dumb moments, he's still brave, honorable, and an overall good guy. In the movie, however, he's treated like a meathead. A stereotypical blonde meathead. And that's the entirety of his character. How do you get that wrong? The live action movies did it better. The live action movies did Fred better. And yet they got the look wrong. They put some random actor in a stupid, obvious wig and called him Fred. How do you get this wrong? Not to mention the fact that Fred's character model just seems really off. Not only did they get the personality wrong, but also his overall look. While Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne, they retain their overall appearance, Fred just looks really off. Either he's not muscular enough, or his chin is too big, or his eyes are too small, or some weird amalgamation of all those problems. But again, Fred was really done a disservice in this movie. My gosh, what did he do with Fred? And then we got Velma, who again, how how do you keep messing up Velma? How do you keep messing up Velma? She has a distinct look with the haircut and her overall somewhat bubbly yet smart, outgoing personality. Here, she's just the smart one. Her hair is wrong, her overall look is wrong. She just, again, it doesn't work because the story just treats her like the smart one. And again, that is a great disservice to Velma's character. It doesn't work. So, despite the fact that the movie definitely made me laugh and was overall an enjoyable experience compared to some movies that I am still suffering Vietnam flashbacks about. Never let Idris Elba sing again. Never let that man sing again. The Scoob movie is a mess. It focuses on the wrong stuff, trying to expand a cinematic universe that, at this point, is just never going to happen. I wouldn't be against the idea, but you have to convey the characters correctly in order for us to actually care, especially those who grew up with this stuff. Otherwise, it's just an insult to our intelligence and to our childhoods and our nostalgia. So yeah, apart from the fact that they got Scooby right, Daphne right, and even Shaggy right, Fred and Velma are why do they always get the short end of the stick? Why do they keep getting those two wrong? Why is it always those two? So weird. So weird. And again, yes, the movie made me laugh. There were a few times in where the movie made me laugh really hard. And then there were times in where the movie just made me confused by some of the jokes. I'm like, what? Is this supposed to be funny? Because it's just kind of awkward banter. Is that what counts as humor these days? Ah. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of a movie. It gets annoying the further you get along into it, especially towards the end, and where you're just like, just end the dang thing already, please end my suffering. So yeah, overall, I give Scoob a 3.5 out of 5 and call it below average. It's I don't know if it's taking itself too seriously or has no respect for the source material, or either that or the people who actually made it had no, you know, respect for the source material. But overall, it's a mixed bag of lame jokes, moments of inconsistent animation quality, and characters done great disservices. Not to mention the fact that Captain Caveman's inclusion is really weird and off. I mean, if he's the protector of the last Cerberus skull, why would he bring Blue Falcon and Scooby to the skull? Just to show off to his people? Is that what his entire character was? I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, why was he talking the way he did in that movie? Was it to be fresh with the kids? Okay, this is really weird. And again, just please stop trying. Please stop trying to appeal to kids, or at least the cool kids, because in 5 years' time, they're just going to look lame. Just try to be timeless and classic. And if I mean, not to mention the fact that despite the fact that Scoob really wasn't the film that a lot of fans were wanting, it wasn't the worst Scooby Doo movie to come out this year. I mean, we got that sequel to Zombie Island that I am never going to be seeing, and yeah, that's right. I'm never going to see this movie. You know why? Because I actually grew up with the original movie, and I love the original movie. It's great, and this movie seems to want to do away with a part of my childhood for absolutely no reason other than they ran out of ideas and are trying to exploit us of our nostalgic childhoods. Just yeah, the trailer for that movie was included on the Blu-ray that I rented, and I couldn't even get through 30 seconds of watching that after Felma says, "It's one of our unsolved capers." Unsolved? What do you mean unsolved? You had you had the villains explain everything to you for like 5 minutes. How is that unsolved? That doesn't make any sense. How are you this stupid? How? Oh, wait, you know what? No, no, no. I'm not. I'm not talking about this movie. No, I'm not watching this movie. No, I am not watching this movie. No, I don't care how much you demand me to watch this movie in the comments. I don't care. I just please. I open myself for people to demand that I watch this movie in the comments tonight. Oh gosh darn it! Now, if you excuse me, I need to save what little brain cells I have left for the rest of my life. Well, I have been the Mystery Writer, and until next time, sayonara. If you excuse me, I'm gonna watch something that's actually good with Scooby-Doo in it. I hope. Please. Is there anything left with Scooby-Doo that's good? Please? Please?